What is up, the world of the living? My name is BluJayGames and welcome back to Truly Bedrock. Friends, apparently I'm Foxy's favorite Disney princess. This is his retaliation from the last episode against my spoiler wall that said subscribe to Zloy. And yeah, it's pretty spiffy. I have not yet come up with a full-on retaliation as to like what to do in the response, but I have several ideas. In the meantime, I've just been doing basically this. You see, at one point these walls will need to go down. At one point he will have to remove his one. And he was silly enough to make it out of white concrete powder. Because it's still a gravity block, so it will be easy to get rid of. Or at least it would be if some jerk called me didn't douse it all in water and turn it into solid blocks. Oh my god, he will have to manually break every single piece of solid concrete from here. Poor guy, I am so sympathizing him right now. You will not believe how sympathetic I am towards him. But, well, you know, you reap what you sow and all that kind of things. This is why I made my one out of sand and not concrete, because it doesn't do that. Believe it or not. Anyway, we will be doing some more retaliation towards that tiny bit later into the episode, and for now I just wanted to catch you guys up on all the cool stuff I did behind the scenes and between the videos. Okay, last time I promised you that, well, I didn't promise you much, but we did plan out this market area here. Let me take a fly. Yeah, look at it. It's pretty great and it's getting there. Right now, all the little houses on here are meant to be tiny shops. Tiny little booths that you come over to and you buy stuff. These are supposedly owned by the locals, so they are a permanent construction and people just walk out of them, supposedly. Because, once again, I didn't feel like moving villagers around and ruining the very finicky balance of the villages in around this place. Point being, I created these ones and they don't really have any specializations on them. Like this here says that it's an anvil, but this shop sells no anvils because this shop sells nothing. It's empty and I don't really feel like making it. Basically, all of these are meant to be mini marts owned by the locals, so they will be selling tools, sometimes precious metals because the factory over there refines them, maybe equipment, maybe armor, maybe that kind of stuff, and maybe even you could, I don't know, walk in and rent yourself a room somewhere in here. I don't know, why not? Point being that these are very different from the main market stalls that I'm planning for it, and that is these ones. And for them I created 1, 2, 3, 4, oh my god, 7, 8, 8 flipping plots that we will be using for these particular tiny stalls. And I already have such ambitious plans as to what to do with them, which can only be explained either with a lot of survival prep work and like on camera finagling, or in a separate creative world, which, yeah, give me a moment, I'll fire that one up and show you exactly what I have in mind. So, you basically drop down and you put an item in the Armorstand's hand, and you then more or less start piling up even more Armorstands of all poses and varieties, but I specifically prefer this one of a person holding something over their head. Now, of course, on the actual server, it's gonna take absolute flipping forever, but here in creative, more or less goes very easily. So then, naturally, you do this, and you just push it into the thing. And voila! You got yourself a little bit of a strawberry bucket. For whatever reason. I don't actually think people store strawberry in buckets, but, you know, to each their own. And even then, if you are concerned about it kind of misaligning, you just sploosh a little bit of water, and it works perfectly fine, and it's just great. And it doesn't even pop off. I tried doing this, but with a stair block, and I can confirm Armorstands will happily jump out of full blocks and stairs, which kind of makes them tiny bit less usable. Meanwhile, this here Nope. This stays. This works perfectly fine. And you can even then kind of fill in the composter to a certain degree, making the Armorstands less visible. Like, they're not perfectly invisible, because now you can still see the little stems of them, but they're kind of invisible. And hey, worst case scenario, you just don't even give them anything and just have yourself a bucket of sticks. Because, I mean, why not? You can actually create quite an interesting display for your wares on a server by doing something as easy as basically this. Look. Boop. And it stays in. Perfectly fine. And then you give them an item and you pose the thing in a certain way, and voila! You got yourself an Armorstand doing a particular move. Is that not the best, guys? Is that not the best? Or you can even do it cheaper and easier, and you can have a wall of a particular material, not a particular material, particular trapdoor or a door, and just hang your favorite item on it by simply placing an Armorstand in this particular pose. Clearly, yeah, shift right click to make them move, all that kind of stuff. But look, all of these things we can easily do on Bedrock Edition. And they will stay that way, and they will function that way, and it's gonna be perfectly fine. Can you believe it? Can you seriously believe it? And, by the way, since we're already doing this entire thing, on Bedrock, you can rename Armorstands, and you can rename them Gram and Dinnerbone, and they will flip and turn around. Basically allowing you to create a pretty spiffy looking rack. Like, you don't even have to mask this one that much. It will look pretty great, even if it's just upside down Armorstands holding swords or whatever equipment you want them to hold. But swords look kind of best, because that's how you would kind of porch up a sword, you know, blade down and all. Yeah, I'm pretty liking this. I'm pretty much liking this. Too bad I don't actually get to use it, because once again I didn't want any of the tiny stalls to be selling weapons. For our first experiment with the Armorstands and all that kind of stuff, we got Mr. Zombie Farmer over here. And he brings potatoes, more potatoes, some broccoli or sugarcane, more potatoes, and a bunch of hay bales, or wheat at the very least. I would happily decorate his stall even further, but yeah, I can't exactly enter it now, because the gentleman here is not exactly a fan of my haggling. So I'm gonna just leave him be for now and forever, and yeah, he's not gonna spawn, because welcome to Bedrock Edition of Minecraft. Monsters in boats do not despawn ever. You don't need a name tag, you don't need anything, and I could still name tag him to something interesting, but I am not gonna, because, well, name tags are expensive. That is literally the only reason. I actually do have enough librarians to perhaps score myself some tags. You know, only got $20 in my pockets. Anyway, that is basically the example stall. And then I wanted to hire a couple more shopkeepers, well, at the very least, visiting traders. One of whom is a llama, because, again, sentient llamas trading without the wandering trader. And also because, like, mostly because, let's face it, llamas are incredibly customizable. I mean, yeah, there we go. And then with this, and look at him. And we instantly have a very, very exotic looking llama who clearly came from a foreign land and brings some majestic and bizarre wares to trade, right? I don't know, I always liked how much you can how much customization you can put into llamas, and I was always sad about how little you can really do with them in the game. And hey, llamas as traders for your roleplay. Pro tip, do it. You know why? Because they themselves can be basically shops. If you level up a llama full on, this entire area will be, you know, filled in. And having a llama who you actually interact with instead of, you know, just a chest like most shops is just that much more engaging. You can even rename the llama so that whenever you look at him, you get a price tag for whatever items he's trading. But that's ideas for the llama trader, and that's something that really should have been doing with the commercial district this season. Last guy that I definitely want to have is this fella here, and honestly, he's an entirely an accident. I was actually bringing this zombie over here when I caught him in the middle of it, and he just kind of walked in and was like, yo, can I have a tent? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then I decided that because he came from the swampy lands over there, I can go kind of 2 ways with him. And I might go both, just one not with him exactly. This guy, I want to be the monster hunter. So this guy will sell slime, rotten flesh, gold, tridents, you know, that kind of materials. Basically stuff that drops from potentially mobs. And another idea I had is to... Where's the nearest crafting bench? Okay, I am the nearest crafting bench, whatever. Another idea I had was to actually, since this drowned comes from the swamp, make him bring an actual wares from the swamp town of Revive, which, if you don't remember, is a swampland town of revived zombie villagers who now are regular villagers. And they have quite a bit of industry around here. And they have, like, you know, golemancers and particular, like, pickaxe traders and all that kind of stuff. This is where my original villagers come from, and this is where my original mending guy also comes from, and that kind of stuff. So maybe I could potentially crack down and figure out what kind of material they would be exporting, given that, yeah, they have this as an infrastructure. Logically speaking, I think of all the things from the Revive, the most important one would be the sweet berries, because I'm not really farming them anyway, and also because you kind of expect sweet berries to be imported from a swamp, particularly cranberries. Cranberries, if you didn't know, they straight up grow in swamps. That's where you get cranberries from. That's why they're so sour, and it's kind of interesting because you can go just in a swamp and voila, cranberries everywhere. Except then you get into the, you know, into the mud, and you kind of drown and die. But that's entirely an other story. Let's not talk about that too much. Let's actually go down to the thing, and I will try to decorate the rest of them. We'll see how much of that I can pull off at once. 2 more stalls added and more or less decorated. This one a little bit more sparse because, well... Yep. I am not using another hostile mob as a shopkeep. Ever. Period. I don't care what you guys wanna pay me. But. We did get the mob drops. Well, not exactly the mob drops. He has a very limited assortment of wares at the moment. Ow. But he does have one decoration that I really want to adapt and like use later, time it more, and that is this cauldron with a bone sticking out of it. Mostly because if you basically put a little bit of water in it and a little bit of dye, it really looks like he's cooking himself a little bit of monster broth on the side. And perhaps even offering samples, I don't know, why not? This fella looks like a proper chef kind of guy. Here though, with the exotic llama, we got a little bit more of a complex decorational style. Now, my idea here is that this fella over here is extremely pissed at this fella over here, because they occupy approximately the same range of, you know, stuff. This guy has generally, you know, vegetables and bread supply, and this guy over here, he wants that bread. For one, he wants those hay. He's like looking at it like, I gotta steal some hay from this fella, this competitor of mine. And also, he has a much bigger stall, and it's much more decked out. They got a little beetroot in here. He has an assortment of apples, some, you know, other fruit, well, berries technically, and pumpkins, because I mean, he sells melons, he might as well sell pumpkins, whatever. So yeah, this stall over here looks the most detailed yet, and it's the only one that you kind of look at and you go, oh, well, this guy has a lot of stuff on sale. This guy is This guy knows he's restocking. Meanwhile, these two, yeah, mostly because of their hostility, I can't really walk in and like add any more details, so it feels a little bit sparse. Which honestly, I'm kind of okay with. We can have some stalls that will not be as fully stocked as others. That is okay. That is how market generally works. Now, one thing I really want to mention though, and it's something I really want to mention, like while we're talking decorations, is that my general idea of everything Minecraft and everything run by villagers, monsters, and mobs is that they, like, none of them speak English between them. So for my own, like, personal builds, whenever I want something to be run by a particular monster, I don't want that shop or that store or that whatever to ever use English, ever use any actual signs, which is why I'm not like adding actual prices, doing all that stuff. This is a market. If someone wants to buy something and wants to know a price, they can just ask them. They can just haggle a little bit, you know, like you'd ask one does. Okay, I wonder if I can seek my llama on them. Hey guys. And I just don't want to deal with it, I guess. Okay, more power to them. My only concern is that they might go and like find their way into one of my little houses and kill some villagers if they're only protected by a regular door. But no, point being, I don't want to use any signs. I don't want to actually specify any prices on here. This is all purely decorational, and it is meant to tell a story, but not actually try and sell anything to the actual players around here. So yeah, that's why I'm not even keeping that much of a stock and not having chests all over the place. Because that kind of stuff is more player thing, player roleplay, and this is kind of mob roleplay. They have their own little world in here. Let's not interrupt them. Alright, I've put together 2 more market stalls and 1 more currently being examined. Yeah, I decided to make one just collapsed and in a not working condition because, you know, why not? Why not? It's faster and easier than detailing more because these took a lot out of me. Believe me, and they took a lot of time. So I made one selling netherwort and supposedly nether brick. And I made one selling clothes, yeah, basically just robes, villager robes, because these guys don't got a cow farm around. They don't have like cow industry. So I wanted at one point to add a meat cart somewhere in here, but I don't really feel like it right now. So I apologize. This market might not be finished by today, but I do want to explore every concept I came up with for it, and that's why I moved on and like left free plots of for the market stalls still open and moved on to these beauties. Now this here is something I'm absolutely proud of. Look at the design. Like, this is supposed to be a wagon, a cart that a merchant has arrived on, and it has like these wheels, these giant wheels on them. And the entire cart is just standing there because, well, they have to store their stock somewhere. And yeah, it might get stolen in the meantime because they're storing it way too far away from their place. But you know, whatever. And some of the carts I want to build, I want to be camping out here for quite a while now. This one, for example, only has 1 wheel on because the other one fell off and is broken. And yeah, I don't know what happened to the other 2. Perhaps they've been stolen also. Point being that this person here is camping out, and you can see their bed, and you can see like their chests over here still being in here. And the cart itself is empty because the stock all has been moved over to the actual market stall, and they're kind of just, yeah, they're having this little camp out over here with the campfire and a bunch of chopped wood that they prepared for the campfire, which is really nice, much nicer looking than having, you know, the regular way of storing wood in Minecraft with actual logs. Which, yeah, that makes me think I should probably make at least 1 cart that is hauling logs, because, well, this town once again is way too preoccupied with the industry of metals and tool making to actually have a lumber industry of their own. They must be importing that kind of stuff. You can spot clearly the axe over here, and that is actually obviously from that dubbing armor stand hidden in here. It's not hidden too well, but I like that I think I did manage to cover up the little this bit, the hole in the ground, convincingly enough. Like, you look at this, you don't think that this is Zloy covering up a hole in the ground. You think that this is some kind of just cloth that was pulled away or like blown away by wind. Or maybe it was a cloth that they used to cover up the wood so it doesn't get wet in case it rains. Which, speaking of, I'm so glad that it's nighttime right now, because during the nighttime this little camp out diorama actually looks so much better and so much more cozy. Which, yeah. Point is, I'm extremely happy with what I put together here, and I'm looking forward to making even more. But one thing I'm struggling right now with is I really wanted a couple of carts to be standing here functioning as market stalls and selling mildly illegal goods from them. I already know one I really want to do, and that's once again a reference to a YouTuber I adore and absolutely am a big fan of. But yeah, I guess that's something. You feel free to try and guess exactly what kind of shady business I want to implement that will that will be a reference to a YouTuber I'm a fan of. But I would actually want to ask you guys what other types of wares you would like me to implement around here that you would think would make sense. I don't know, just hit me with it. Maybe it will inspire me and I will be able to put together the remaining free market stalls and however many market carts I really want to do. But I'm afraid that's gonna be it for today's episode. So, my friends, thank you everybody so much for watching. Yes, I'm still a princess, and yes, we will deal with the spoiler world fiasco tiny bit later, maybe next episode, maybe a video after that. I really want to fire back with something real powerful and real strong, but that's probably not gonna happen for a little bit, because, you know, brain think. Brain big, but brain no think thoughts. And thoughts need to be thunk for have ideas. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for speaking this way. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today's episode of True Bedrock. So thank you everybody so much for watching. This has been Princess Zloy XP. To be continued. Have a good one. Bye bye.